Hello, my name is Eric Blackburn, and this is my continuous school improvement planning framework snapshot of Burton Schools USD 369 that I would present if I was a new principal trying to help student or staff understand where our building currently was. Burton USD 369 is found in Burton, Kansas. Who we are, or who are we? We're a 1A district in central Kansas. Our community is filled with cheap housing. You can rent a several bedroom home for just a couple $100s here. We've had real issues with slumlord type management of it. Roughly 20% of our town lives in poverty. It's much higher with our student population. Roughly 60% of students receive free or reduced lunch. If you look at the graph there in the bottom left, you can see our enrollment over the last 10 years or so has definitely gone down. We're at a peak in 2011 with about 275 students. Currently, we've got less than 240. That's a huge decline for us. If we look at county and city growth, comparing Harvey County and Burton, you can see that Burton there with the orange, less growth typically than the county, but then a greater decline than the county as well. If we look at our free and reduced lunch percentages compared to both Kansas and Harvey County, Kansas and Harvey County sit there pretty much the same over the course of time over the last 10 years. And you can see Burton's got a much higher percentage of free and reduced lunch. Again, it averages about 60% each year. Most of our teachers have been in the building for between 5 and 7 years. Administration has been in place for the past 5 years. We've got our elementary principal also serves as our superintendent. Before that, she was our high school principal. Our current high school principal was used to be our PE teacher and a coach. He still continues to coach in the building. Due to decreased funding over the last few years, we have cut 4 different teaching positions. We used to have a second welding and shop teacher. We're down to 1. He teaches that about 2/3 of the time and serves as our athletic director the other 1/3. We lost our elementary PE teacher. We now share with the middle school, high school. We lost a librarian, and we also lost an elementary computer lab technology teacher. Currently, we have an aide who operates as our librarian as well as our computer lab monitor, essentially. However, 100% of our staff is state licensed if you look at the teaching positions, and we're very proud of that. How do we do business? Based on perceptions of our staff, students, and parents, we do believe we're fostering great relationships. We constantly champion that that's what we're best at, and that is a great strength of ours. We have an open-minded building that allows students and staff to be themselves, and we do have a reputation amongst our community and whatnot of being accepting of all. I've been amazed in the 8 years I've been here in our building to see the lack of bullying and picking on behaviors I see from students. You can have staff doing much the same. Our students, though, if we can have kids that I think of if they'd acted that sort of way or done some of the things that they do. Whenever I was in school, we'd have been ridiculed for it. You know, we have kids wearing the same clothes day after day, and students just don't really say much about it. I think they understand the financial situation that many of the kids are in. We've completed many surveys of staff, students, and community to find out what we do well and what we need to improve upon as part of our Gemini school redesign process we're in our 2nd year of. So I'll elaborate more on that here shortly. Where are we now in terms of state assessments? If we look at math and reading state assessments over the last 4 years, with a score of 1 being essentially having limited skills with math or reading, 2 is basic, 3 is effective, and 4 is excellent rating. This is off the state assessments. You can see we stay pretty stagnant, especially with our math scores and in terms of who scores a 1 and who scores a 4. Reading, there's a little bit more movement, but we just don't have much improvement over time. We have a high number of our students, about a quarter every year, that score as limited ability. When we based on size, subgroup data is very limited. We don't have a high population of minority students other than Hispanic, and so then when you try and pull data based on subgroups, a lot of the times the data doesn't show up because if you have less than 10 students within a subgroup, it's not gonna provide that with you. If we look just at math, in 2017, self-paid students or self-paying students for lunch, we had 15% of kids score 1, 38% score 2 and a 3, and 9% score a 4. If we look at that same data for free and reduced lunch students, 34% scored a 1, 51% scored a 2, 12% scored a 3, and only 3% scored a 4. We see that our students paying for their own lunch outperformed the others. If we look at our white students, 26% scored a 1, 45% scored a 2, and we had a combined 29% scored 3 or a 4. If we look at our Hispanic subgroup, the only other ethnic group we can pull. 27% score to 1, 64% score to 2, and only 9% score to 3, with none scoring a 4. The white students outperformed the other subgroups. Similar data was shown for reading assessments and math in prior years. I just summarized it here with 2017. If you look at our demographic data, 48% of our students were male and 52 are female over a last 5-year average. If we look at the ethnicity for the last 5 years, 83% and change were white, just under 1% of our student population is black, roughly 10% is Hispanic, and almost 6% are other races. And if we look, roughly 2/3 of our students have a disadvantaged economical background, and a third come from an economically advantaged background. Where are we now? Our core subject area instruction has become quite stagnant. We need to shake things up and improve. White economically advantaged students are outperforming their peers. We do a good job of connecting with students that are interested. The students that aren't necessarily interested don't really connect with so well. And we hold athletes and involved students to a higher standard than others. I think that needs to be addressed. We should have high expectations for all. Why do we exist? Our mission statement is, it is the mission of the Burton School District to provide a safe and caring environment conducive to excellence in education, where students can be productive, responsible citizens and lifelong learners to meet the challenges of the future. The purpose of the school, we have written in our school handbook that the Burton School District envisions our schools as safe and secure places where students are central in all decisions as we progressively strive towards excellence between and among our students, staff, parents, and community. Where do we want to be? As part of the redesign that I mentioned earlier, we redesigned our vision. Our vision for all USD 369 students is for them to find their individual passions, to grow and develop employability, life, and intrapersonal skills, to maximize their post-secondary success in their communities, families, and careers. We want Burton students to author their own life stories. Our redesigned goal, we want to be the school that other schools strive to be in terms of individualizing education and connecting with each student so that all will succeed. What are the gaps and what are the root causes? The gaps are the lack of equal high standards for all students, and we currently have groups outperforming others. Some root causes are uninvolved parents and families don't mirror our own expectations for our own kids in our classes, so we don't necessarily know how to bridge that gap. We don't know how to connect with that and help them to understand where we're coming from. Our staff don't match the diversity of our student population, and therefore, again, we sometimes struggle to connect with them. It's hard to form a valuable connection with students that are uninterested, and we have, unfortunately, some complacent, unmotivated, or unaccountable staff. How do we get where we want to be? Well, redesign. The state has given us the opportunity to go outside the normal constraints to do what we see necessary to get all students to succeed. We no longer have to stay within those constraints. We can do what we think is best for kids, and provided we can show why we think that, we pretty much have the A-OK to do it. We need to realign our curriculum. We need to incorporate more PBL. We want to find a way to get math credits for shop or welding or building trades math students, language arts credits for reading and writing technical text and trades courses. Why does everybody have to read Shakespeare? Just because we always have? If we've got a student that has always been interested in welding, knows without a shadow of a doubt they're going to be a welder, do they need to read Shakespeare, or can we get them reading credit for reading a welding manual? That's technical text. We need to help students see the bigger picture with real-world applications of their learning. And how will we implement? We must find out what works for our kids. Do we change our schedules? Do we implement block scheduling? Do we have a late start? Do we do early dismissal? Do we need career-focused instruction, multi-tiered systems of support hour to meet individual needs, individual plans of study? We'll figure out what we need, and we will start small, and we'll jump in with 2 feet. I mean, whatever we do, we'll start small and commit to it and see where we land. And how do we evaluate our efforts? To me, the greatest way we can evaluate our efforts is on postgraduate success. Currently, we measure success based on state assessments, and life is bigger than a test. We will measure success based on what our kids are doing after graduation. Are they graduating from college? Are they joining the military? Are they entering the workforce? Or none of the above? Students' results will be what we evaluate our success on.